Alright, so I'm building a bed frame today. I'm going to bolt it together, and I already painted the bolts, the bolt heads, because they're bright metal. So it's actually not black, it's dark walnut, but anyhow. So I read that the sound isn't very good on this. So if it's not, then I'll have to see how it goes, I guess. Raining today. So I strapped these all together. I don't know anything about buying lumber and having it sit, it'll twist. So let's see where it went. The frame for a king size bed. So expensive, and I really just get these 4 2x6s and some other wood down there for straps. Take my wet hat off. This is not only a New Mexico thing, but we're from Maine. A lot of our lumber was green. So, this would happen. So, this looks pretty good. It stayed pretty well the same. So, we'll see. Yeah, it's... Actually, it's very seldom we get rain, this much rain. I know we probably got 1.5 inches, 2 inches by now. So that's nice. I don't like it. I don't like having a rainy day because I'm not from the desert, but you know, people here like it. So a king size bed frame is 80 by 76, 80 being the length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 82. I've got a couple of, so I have 2 of these are going to be 82 inches long. And I didn't do was get my belt sander belt. So I'm probably going to have to go get a belt for my belt sander. 2x6s are not what I would usually use, but here it's really hard to find 2 inch or 1.5 inch pine. So that's where we are. Nothing I can do about that. So, I'm going to use my turbo slip on this and have a lot of cuts to make. So. Whoop. Thought I had it all the way down. That end was really nice, this one wasn't. 82 inches. And then they're 76 inches wide. I'm not going to stick to the width on that because I actually got, well, the price of lumber you guys know, or maybe you don't know, but there was a pallet that I picked up, and these I got from them for the slats. They're not anything special, but I have enough of them to do most of this, 3/4 of it, and they're only 75 inches long. So we're going to go 75 plus the 2 side rails, which will be another 3 inches, which will end up being, 78. So it'll work out alright. It'll be fine. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So, these are my first two anyhow. This is where the legs are going to go on these, where the cleats, where the slats are going to go on them. I'm not going to make a headboard or footboard. It's just a platform. I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible. These are 2x6s. I don't remember, $12, $14 a piece, maybe more. I don't remember. Filling my shoe full of sawdust. Alright. I was just watching. Lithium batteries are great, but I just watched a video of the lithium mines and how polluting they are. It's really not very good. At least when you're going to make something like this, it is actually a piece of furniture. So you really do need to look at it. So you can see here, there's a chip off. It's a layer of the wood is really what it is. So if I route that off, that would be okay. I can use this side. These corners are good except for where they put the strap on the lumber. They strap it down in the... So, we'll see. Again, I'm going to stain it a dark color. It's really just going to be to hold the mattress up. That's all it is. This is what you have to deal with. There's a knot missing here. It'll be okay. I'll try to put that down so it's not near the edge of the bed, or I can round that off a little bit. But this is the way it's going to go. So what I have to do is I have to make some cleats, not with lumber like this, but something here so my other one can run into it. These are the side rails. So I'm going to make legs of a 2x4, which I don't have any in here. So I will probably have to go, it'll come wet, all wet. Yeah, I'll have to go down in the other garage, see if I can find some dry ones. So when selecting these, again, this is framing lumber. It's not made for this, but I already checked them for straight. I told you before, knots and stuff. And this one here has got a split in the end of it, so you want to try to cut that off. That's the one in the middle, that's a check. There's a water stain on that end. So there's no water stain on that end. The stamp is on this end. This side's really been, that's not a good side to do. Now this one's stamped on both sides. So I'm only cutting these 75 inches long, so I can actually take out of the middle. Yeah, I can actually cut a lot of that stain off. Now, I don't want to cut too much of this split off and get down into this check. It'll be farther, so I'm going to cut a good chunk off of there. I mean, it may split some more. Somewhere. I don't have a smaller square. There it is. So you got to make a guesstimate. About like that. So you're trying to get the best piece out of the piece of wood that you have. Especially this junk, it's so expensive now. So, you gotta do what you can. And again, this is gonna be alright. take my 75 inches. I'm well away from this water stain on the end. It seems wasteful, but that's actually what I bought them for. You can't get 7-footers. They actually don't have 14-footers here. Although I found a lot of things is not 14 feet, which is really handy if you're doing a lot of things, because like door trim is 7 feet long. So anyhow, because that's what we got to work with. I'm spoiled from having lumber in Maine. I wonder why I'm holding the saw up before I'm pushing it down, to get a straight start. I don't want to put it down and then try to turn it. We used to call that someone trying to do the circle saw. You can't, I mean you can cut around in a circle with a skill saw, but not very deep. But they're not made for that. So again, I know I got a lot I can take off. So I have a little bit of stain here, but not much. Maybe stain of wood, probably not going to show up. And that thing doesn't have a lot of power, but of course the way I hit it with it used to be 75 inches. So if I can get a piece left over, I might cut the legs out of that, split that down the middle. Seems all my 2x4s are outside, and generally that's not a problem here because it usually doesn't ever rain, but it's been raining for a couple of days and they're soaked, so I don't want to use wet lumber, especially if I'm bolting it together, because it'll dry out and be all loose. And I still might glue these legs on too, I'm not sure. Just like that. Now I'm going to stand these up both sides. These don't need a cleat because this is the head and the footboard. So you're going to have one at this end, those pieces in the middle. Well, I can't even get there. Can't get there from here, but alright, you get the drift. It's going to go like that. That's going to bolt together. So you take it apart. But the legs I don't think need to bolt. So I might just glue those and bolt them. These I already bought the bolts. 1/4-inch carriage bolts when I'm using carriage bolt. Is a bolt. It doesn't have a wrench head. It's got a flat head, so when you stick it into the wood, it doesn't. It's actually got a square shank below the head, and that goes into the wood so it doesn't turn. Like I said, I got those painted. So I remember not to pound them in with a hammer. No one to get satin, ended up getting gloss because that's what they had. Just like everything else, spray paint is for some reason hard to get a hold of. So that's where we are so far. So I did a little prep work, finished that one, belt sanded this. If you don't have a belt sander and you're working with junky lumber like I am, it's really important to have one. Drilling these holes, pre-drilling for these, because if you don't, you're going to split the piece of wood. And I also staggered them. I've already marked a square line on there. I'm using just Gorilla wood glue, white glue. You can use the original Gorilla glue. It's really expensive, and you're really supposed to, this urethane, so you're actually supposed to wet the wood down, dampen it before you put it on there so it adheres better. So anyhow, I'm just going with the white glue. The size of the screws that I'm using for what this is. I'm just going to want to twist that, so don't put it in all the way yet. That one you can crank in. So there is some glue over here. This is all on the inside of the bed. where you're not going to see. I wouldn't do that on the outside. Oh, I gotta cut another block, actually. So, it's about yay wide. Doesn't really matter. It's just a cleat. And it's as tall as this. One end, you gotta watch it, that's really crooked. This is the end that I cut. Again, this is really just a quick bed. I'm not selling this or anything. If I was, obviously, that would make more time. I'd countersink these where the screws are. I'd plug them, send them off. If you have a belt sander and you don't have a benchtop sander, do it now, because it's really hard to do later. Again, gonna pre-drill these. Keep the flies off my legs. Just got done raining, so flies are nuts, out of control. You can brush it all on there and get all good coverage and all that. Again, LED screws are putting 2.5 screws in there. This is 3.5 inches through here. But then you take you countersink it a little bit naturally by just putting it in there. It's just stuck in there. So wing it around like I did on the other one. Squishing all that glue out, it's nice. Then I'm going to be cutting a cleat. It's going to be down 3/4. It's going to go the whole length of that to hold the slats. But I have to put the leg in here first. And I haven't decided. I'll maybe just make it below the cleat. And then I think I'm going with 12 inches overall. So anyhow. That's those two. The other two just get cut to length. Now I did just belt sand this. I will go over the orbital later because I want to stain it. Like I said earlier, I got the bolts painted the top so they don't stick out like shiny bright silver that they are. So I'm just going to cut those and sand them, and then I'll go make some legs. So the hard part about recording stuff when you're doing it is you don't remember to turn the camera back on, so I'm not used to that. So I got the cleats put on. I think last time you were watching that. I got this cleat on. This is not it, but the slats to hold the mattress up are going on there. These are the legs. I made them table saw. Cut that through. Carefully push it through this way. Shouldn't do that, but I'm a trained professional. And then I put 2 small screw holes in here first to hold it in place. I decided to glue these on because beds, you got little kids jumping around, you got all kinds of shenanigans going on. So I figured I ought to. I really should have got a little bit longer bolt, so I could have left more meat on there, but I think it'll be all right. I think it's really for the support. Yeah, that one's good. Great big knot. I saw that as soon as I started putting it in there. It's a new bit. Check it for square. Because just because it, I'm not going to put that other screw in there because, well, I can drill it a ways, I guess. That knot is just really hard, so I got, yeah. Yeah, that squished it right in there. I measured both of these, going 1.5 inches from the end, from this block, so I can get my nut on the end of that. Oh, I already got that drilled. Glue. Never used this before. I'm used to using the old carpenter's glue. I'm sure it's as good or better. Gorilla products seem to be really good. Well, I was going to stick that in my mouth. Didn't. Obviously. Alright. 2x6 on this edge without cleat on. There's going to be plenty of strength from the center of that bed. One thing I may do is put something down the middle to support the slats. That's quite a span. I'll probably come in and cut a 2x6 down to this width and bolt it in. Put a block and bolt that. So 4 3/4. That'd be pretty sturdy right down through the middle. Well, actually, it's this way. Alright, once that's done, and I come in with my, not that, change to a 1/4 inch bit. I don't know if this was 3/16 or something. Whatever your pilot, you're pre-drilling it, it should go through the first piece of wood easy. Now I know you may think it's a little weird to measure every hole, but on the outside I want them to match. So the middle, that was 2 5/8, so I'm going 5/16 inch and 5/16. I'm going 1/2 inch from the top, 2 1/4 at the bottom. I'm not trying to punch through too fast. I don't want to pull a big piece off the back side. I could have drilled these from the other side, but I didn't. And so I have, I do want to get them up through there, but I'm actually using my mallet somewhere, fall on the floor. A wooden mallet, so I don't beat the paint up on them. They're 1/4 inch hole, these are 1/4 inch bolts, so it'll be fine. Just want to seat them into that hole. Seat them in them. I'm not going to stay in the back side of this. Really, you know, if somebody's paying me to do it, I would if they'd want to, but I mean, once the bed's together, the only one you'll see underneath there is kids, and that'd be a little kid get underneath this one. Although some of my grandkids could. Got a wrench, ratchet wrench, gear wrench, whatever you want to call it. They're really nice. Alright, so I'll do this one too. For small measurements, I prefer
a wooden ruler because I can line it up the end, mark the end of the tape, and into a wooden ruler. Used one for as long as I've been doing carpentry. Once you get used to them, they're really handy. So one thing there is, may not be a lot of bugs here. Well, there's some creepy bugs, but probably like black flies, mosquitoes. But flies? Oh my gosh. The flies are something else. Of course, we have cattle that free range on our property, so they come through here once in a while, and they drop off 10 or 12,000 of them at a time. We actually have sheep. They don't attract them so much, but there's some around them, especially when it's been wet. Another good thing to have, especially if you have good chisels. My chisels have steel caps. They're made to hit with a hammer because they're construction chisels. But if you're doing fine woodworking, you have some of these. You don't want to hit that with a hammer. I've had some broke, some messed up because people were working for me hit them with a hammer. That's what happens when you have employees years ago. Not my sons, they're no better, but the other guys. And the sound is, something you can hear. I did get the nylon nuts for these too. Locking nuts, because again, kids jumping around. Now I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to put a center leg right there. First of all, I think this is plenty strong. Second of all, our bed has that, and it's a toe stubber. We've both done it. It's a terrible design, and it was way more than this is going to cost for that bed. So we are not doing that. So that's what it would look like. Alright, so I guess I'm just going to make something out of what I have here. I have some dry pieces that I just cut off the 2x6. Really not close enough. inch and a half by inch and a half block. Or maybe not. Well, I have these are 2¼ inch, 2½ inch. So that's not going to work. So what I was going to do is rabbit out the 2x4 halfway. So what I may have to do is countersink. When this top piece goes, this would be at the head of the foot if it's over 76 inches long. And I may have to countersink that so we can put this. I'm going to put a cleat here, so I'm going to make some cleats and we're going to glue and screw those to these sides. The legs will be bolted on as well. The ends will be bolted on so you take it apart. I actually don't need to bolt the legs on. I could fasten them on. Maybe I'll glue them on. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to just make this 1.5 inches. And normally I would use my table saw, but it is raining, it's down near the garage. I don't really want to get this wood wet. Walking back and forth with it. It's actually quite a ways. So I could put these side by side, but I'm not going to. I actually have an electric skill saw, but I cut some hardy board with it the other day because I was in jam. That's all I had, and I didn't want to cut it with this one because this is a brand new blade, and that blade is toast. And I gotta find, I have another new one somewhere, but this will work. So there's 3 of them. That's all I did. Just cut them square. They're going to be on the inside of the bed. You're not even going to see them. So they are going to go. Use this for a spacer. Okay. We're going to go here. I've got to have enough room. So when I put this in here, I got to have enough room. So when I put this in here, I'm going to have a leg made of 2x4, or maybe I'll make it 2x3. So when I put this here, this is not what the size is going to be. I am still able to get the nuts on and off. I'll have to countersink that 3/4. It really just holds this bed together. There's no weight on this headboard piece. This is a headboard or footboard area. There's no weight on it. So I would countersink it so that just comes through there so I can tighten that down. This I'm going to glue and screw this and clamp it to this piece. I am going to sand around that first underneath, so when I stain it later I'll sand these up. I'm not going to record all that. And then I'm going to take my foot, my leg, if this is a 2x4, and what I'll end up doing is cutting it, and I will have to go down on the table saw to do that. I'll have to cut this halfway, rabbit that out, so when it sets in there, actually the weight of the bed is setting on something, not just the bolts. The bolts are to hold it in place. I'll probably also put a center support down the middle of this because it is so wide where it's a king. So that's where I am on this. Yep, I think that'll work just fine. I'm using my wife's car for a bench. But that's okay. I got all kinds of attachments for this. This is a new camera that my wife bought me. All kinds of attachments. I haven't just figured them out all yet. So how to mount that. The one has a pole. It has a body cam. There's the one for your head, which I wasn't sure if that would be pointing in the right direction. So that's how it goes. So I'm going to sand this up off camera. You know what sanding looks like. So I'll do that. gonna throw a little stain on. Not familiar with stain. Little goes a long ways. Don't have to spill it. But yeah. The older I get, the sloppier I get. And I'm just going to do the sides that they're seen. The flies could just drive me completely out of my mind. So anyhow, I'm not going to sit here and put you through all this. Anyhow, that's what you do. You put it on a little bit. Try it, see what you like. Wipe it off. I use this color a lot here just because it goes with some of the original trim that was on here, which was Douglas fir, and it's really, well, it's old. House was built in the 50s, so I just tried to match it up. Once wiped off, it looks pretty close. I mean, obviously you can still tell that it's new, but you know, I just don't want to have something completely different color. This is cherry. Well, if you know anything about cherry wood, the main native cherry isn't that red actually. That's Brazilian cherry, which we put down, or we had it in the house that we were building on. It's pretty red, pretty dark like this. Wipe it off with a rag. You're not going to get in all the holes. Wipe it off with a rag. Clean off all the extra. But you want to get down in the knots and all that. It'll want to go tell. Yeah. Try to get a coat on this. Get it wiped off tonight. Tomorrow after church. Put some polyurethane on it. Take the parts upstairs, the frame, put it together. I'm going to make the slat pieces. But I've got to find something to hold them all together. I was thinking like burlap or feed sacks or something that's I can staple to them so don't keep rain out. And back in the old days, you had all those slats on the bed and kind of all over the place. So these are these foam beds now. You have to put them 3-4 inches apart. So in order to keep them there, you just take a piece of a feed sack and cut it to strips, and just take a construction staple gun, staple it to all the slats to keep it from moving around. And then when you go to move it, you can just roll it up, and they're all together. So, not my own idea. The bed that we had bought, we built that way. So, anyhow, so I'm going to show you the white in it. Kind of hurting on the rags right now, but anyhow, we started at this end. Let me bring you on in here. So I slapped it on there. And just wipe it off. Obviously I'll do the edge too, but I can't do that while I'm holding the camera. So, and that's the color. Actually, it's a pretty cool fact that this house, the guy that built it was like a researcher or something up to Sandia Labs or something, and he built all the doors. He used Douglas fir plywood, dimension 3/8, laminated them all together, glued them together. I think this house was built in the 50s or the 60s, and they're still in good shape. The ones that were, some of them are beat up. But I tried to keep as many of them as I can, just to keep a little part of the originalness of the house. And, that's the color that we're going for. Actually, my windowsills upstairs, my window trim upstairs, all the same color. That's where this is going for guests. Why a king size bed? Well, because some of our guests have bunches of kids. So, and that's it. And I'm going to just continue doing that. So this is the latest project I've been doing. This might be backwards because I did the rest of it on a new camera that Kim bought me. But anyhow, just the short version is I took and put legs, bolted them there. I actually glued those two. There's a cleat under here. I just got this fastened down, so I really don't want to pull it off. And there's a cleat under there. Those are all sitting on the ends. Are bolted so you can take it apart. Then I added a middle support because it's king size. It's a 2x6 on edge with a cleat on the side of it, so you can just unscrew that and take it off. So anyhow, I'm gonna try to upload the rest of them, but I don't know how it's gonna go. And then I gotta wrestle this mattress. So it's a mattress in the box deal. You know, it's right down there. Heavy. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna get that up here and I'll show you when it's done. That board sticking up in the middle is just stubborn. When the mattress is on it, it'll be fine. Well, I bring it along for the struggle. Get the mattress up here. It's not terrible. Not bad. I get a kick out of the instructions. It says, roll out the compressed mattress on the surface where you will install it. Cut the plastic off. I don't know if you've ever seen how much these things are compressed, but there's something. Careful, I want to cut the mattress. And it's stuck to it too. Of course, when you have a really dull knife like this, it's not much of an issue. And the next one that holds it in a roll. Now, here we go. So how do I want to do this? Do I know? No, I don't know. It's upside down, of course. And seeing as I'm alone, I am not going to try to flip that once it's inflated, I guess is the term for it. Back in the back, I don't know if you guys dealt with it enough. We have one like this, similar. Yeah. Oh, I know how to have a good time. I assume that's the width. I didn't think of that. Alright. I mean, I guess I could have flipped it over later. really, you know, sharp. I'm actually just 4. Okay. Yes, I realize I have to get the plastic up from under it. But, and it's in the wrong direction. That's pretty obvious, so that might be okay. So you can see how much it's expanding already. Oh, that wasn't bad. Don't eat those. I actually had a kid at school once ate some of that. We called the CDC back when I had a reputation. A good reputation. And they said it was fine. I mean, they didn't eat the whole packet. And there it is. Now I don't know what they cost. These things here. I got about, I had 4 2x6s, which were something ridiculous, like $12 a piece. I think I got like 70, 80 bucks in material. I'm not going to count the stain because it's so little. It's the same thing I use for the trim on the windows. So way better than the $300 or $400 or $500 that they want. And it's not going to fall apart.